The night was quiet, until it wasn't. Gunshots ripped through the dark. And a man drops beneath the streetlights. No weapon. No witnesses. No second chances, but this wasn't random. Someone knew exactly where he'd be. And made sure he wouldn't leave alive. Now detectives are chasing shadows. Through lies, debts, and a past that won't stay buried. Because in this case, the truth isn't just hidden, it's dangerous.
Anybody here see anything?
I was in my room unpacking. All I heard is a series of gunshots, maybe 4, maybe 3. I told my children to get down, and everything went quiet. So I got up and I looked out my front window, and that body was on the ground. And I didn't believe it was a body, so I came outside, and that man was laying over there on that ground, dead.
Within minutes, Akron police officers respond to the call, a shooting involving at least one victim outside a convenience store.
When we received a call for shots fired, I was new to Akron Police Department. I just started. I was nervous, didn't know what to really expect. As soon as I got to the scene, I turned on my body camera.
Oh my gosh, you can't stop shaking. Okay, the officer's over now.
Oh boy.
It's gonna be a 22.
I ran over to the victim where he was lying. There was a large amount of blood coming from his head. He was a black male, approximately 45 to 50 years old. He had it looked like maybe a Carhartt jacket and then a neon vest over top of that, like he just got off of work. As EMS is pulling up on scene, we then turn our attention away so that they could perform life-saving actions.
Copy, signal 22.
See any blood over there?
Scenes like this, they're very chaotic. You have police, EMS, witnesses, bystanders.
Go back that way, don't come through here.
Multiple people trying to talk on the radio. Flashlights shining all around looking for evidence.
You got crime scene tape.
I'm gonna go look. I'm struggling right now.
We needed to block off that area as fast as we could, so that way we could preserve the crime scene.
Units reference to 33, we do have a suspect description. We got a black male, had on a dark coat, dark pants, and the soles of his shoes were red.
Yeah, 23, let us know where the caller is.
Your witness is going to be at those antique stores across from the Bajo.
We learned that the caller was an antique store owner that was nearby. One of the officers went across the street and met with her to take her statement. There was an urgency to catch the suspect. We didn't have a weapon on scene. There were no guns lying around. So we knew that there was an armed suspect running around.
Officers head to the nearby antique store to talk to a woman who says she witnessed the suspect running away.
There were like 4 or 5 shots. I just heard pop, 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 pop. And I'm like, Joe, was that gunshot? He's like, sure didn't sound like it. And right then, I'm sitting back, I guess, but right then I just looked and I could see someone running from Bajo down the sidewalk. They were taller, black guy. His shoes, like on the bottom of his shoes, they were red. I couldn't see them because he was running.
Shirt, pants, heavy, skinny.
He was dead.
Okay. Taller. Which way did he go? South.
He went
all the way down. Oh.
We were updated that the suspect fled the scene southbound down Oakdale.
All cars, prepare a copy of below. Description, reference the shooter. All cars, gonna be a tall, thin black male wearing dark clothing. The shoes are red on the bottom, southbound on Oakdale.
At this point, the victim is being loaded onto the ambulance and he's clinging to life, and the outlook wasn't looking great.
Alright, just stick with the gold.
Alright.
If family shows up down there and you start having an issue, just ask for more units to the hospital.
Alright.
Got one of the routine going.
Got an idea on him?
Yeah.
I was shocked to hear that he still had a pulse. Before the ambulance left for the hospital, we were able to get the wallet from him, and the victim was identified as 57-year-old Derek Alexander.
My father was a very energetic, animated, kind, caring person. You know, he never stepped into a room and you didn't know he wasn't in the room. Big laugh, and he was kind. He had a big heart, you know. It was always energetic, always fun to be around, you know, always had a joke, something funny to say. The night of the incident, me and my brother were together, and we got a call from my grandmother. She called and let us know that my father had been shot. You know, to be honest, it's kind of hard to even recount it all. I don't know, I just dropped to my knees and, you know, kind of blanked out and, you know, just trying to process it all, wondering why would somebody want to do that to my father.
The crime scene unit arrives on scene, and officers turn their attention to the search for evidence.
Hey, let's start looking for casings. So try and spread out. Maybe the shots started over here and then they ran.
They were unable to find any of the bullet shell casings, and based on everything that I had saw up until that point, the gunshot wound to the head, the way the victim was lying as if he was running from someone, that indicated that the matter was very personal. Whoever the suspect was knew the victim, but at this point it was a complete mystery to us to what had happened.
It's right there where that pile of brain and blood is.
As I was looking around the scene, I saw what originally I thought was blood on the road, but as I looked at it more, it was spit. It was a cold night. It wasn't frozen over yet. It still looked like it was fairly fresh. So I thought this could be potentially from someone involved in committing this crime.
Thanks to the helpful tip from the caller, we were able to expand our search southbound down Oakdale, and that's where a cell phone was located in the street.
There's a broken phone right here on.
Phone there?
Yeah, and it's on, right here.
A phone, broken phone. Check around this phone, see if you can find any cell casings.
Okay.
So far, we didn't have much evidence. There was a cell phone, spit found by the body, and there were no witnesses.
Officers swab the spit for DNA and collect the cell phone as evidence. Akron police detectives then arrive on scene and launch their investigation.
From the time that we first arrived at the scene, I mean, we had little to no information on who the suspect could be, so it was really a whodunit at that point. Detective Doney arrived a couple minutes after me.
At the scene, we did not know why our victim had been targeted. So now at this point in the investigation, we turn to looking for security cameras, and I go into the Bajo convenience store and inquire about any video footage that they may have.
We wanted to see the surveillance footage because we wanted to see if in fact the victim and or the suspect or possible suspects had been in the store prior to the shooting.
Just cover our parking lot.
What is it? Okay.
You can see.
Do you see anybody?
Younger black male, red soles, and bottoms of shoes. You were working inside. Hear anything? Just there. Tuck. You heard that? Yeah.
Investigators then receive word from the hospital that their victim, Derek Alexander, has died.
Knowing that the victim was deceased, we had a homicide to investigate. And we also knew that we had someone running around Akron that isn't afraid to just shoot somebody in the middle of the street. And who knows what he's going to do next.
Detectives talked to Derek's neighbors to learn more about their victim and his final moments.
When we learned the victim's identity, we learned that he lived 30 or 40 yards away.
So we were able to locate one of the neighbors. We spoke to him. He's a retired cop.
Somebody told me Derek got killed.
Yeah.
He lives on the top floor.
Who told you that, or how are you come to that?
One of the guys, they speak out here.
Yeah.
They went by, one of them went by and said, "Oh, Derek got killed." And I know who Derek is because the kids call him the Candy Man.
Right.
Because he gives all the kids candy, you know. And he's a nice guy. He's just started a new job.
Okay.
He always comes over and says hi to me.
Say he lives on the second floor?
Second floor at the very end here.
Okay.
I'm really sorry to hear about it if there wasn't.
Thank you.
Because he was easy guy.
But he didn't have any issues?
No, the only thing that he messed with the work he did.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, the only thing he had was his habit was weed.
Do you have Derek's phone number?
No.
All right. I appreciate it. All right. Thank you.
We spoke to a neighbor who described Derek as being a hardworking gentleman, but he was dealing with women that he would hire. Working girls is what he called them. And some of the working girls, he described them were bad people. He felt that Derek may be in trouble with one of these females. maybe Derek did not pay for the sex. So we thought it could be somebody who was running the girls and that the male came back and tried to get that money from him.
So before we finished up at the scene, one of the patrol officers told us that he remembered a call for service several weeks ago at the address where the victim lived.
It was like a assault or something.
Really?
Yeah. That guy's name looks familiar.
Derek Alexander?
Yeah.
Derek's address looked familiar to me, and then it hit me. About 2 weeks prior to the shooting, I was at Mr. Alexander's apartment. He called 911 for somebody breaking in his front door, fighting with him, demanding money. So I told the detectives immediately.
Detectives head back to the station to dig deeper into Derek's prior incident.
We realized that the officer had his body-worn camera working at the time, and we pulled the footage to review it to see if there was anything related to what happened to Derek the night he was shot.
Hi, sir. The guy who
was here that I was fighting with.
Okay. Now walk me through what exactly happened.
Okay, he comes up here, knocks on the door. I come and open up the door, and he says, "You got my money." I said, "I'll have what I'm going to give you Friday."
Derek is telling the officers that this male was beating his door down and that there was some type of altercation, apparently because Derek owed the man some money.
You borrowed money from him?
Right.
And he came to ask for the money.
And he said, "You're going to give me $100." I said, "No, that wasn't what I owed you. I don't owe you $100."
Wait, so you know who this is? This isn't a random...
No, it's just some guy I see out here in the neighborhood. I don't know his name.
It might seem strange that Derek didn't know this guy's name, but often people out on the street don't know each other's actual legal name. They go by nicknames. They just know maybe where they hang out or where they live. Or maybe Derek didn't want to name him at that point.
So, what did he look like?
About my height, dark-skinned guy. Yeah, he said I owe him $100. I don't owe him no $100. And you ain't gonna get no money like that. Come up in the door and push your way in and tell me you're gonna do this, do that.
And then what happened?
Well, during that, we tussling, been fighting and tussling.
Well, you shove him out the door, or what happened then?
Out the door.
Okay, and then he takes off and you don't see which way he went?
No, I don't see which way. He left, like in a huff. Like he was gonna come back, I don't know.
Derek was vague on a suspect description, so we didn't really get anywhere as far as who the shooter was. So at this point, we noticed that there was a pattern. Derek was owing somebody money, and there could be motive. So while I was back at the station, I got a phone call from the sister, Carla, and she went into telling me about some of what Derek was involved with.
So, are you his blood sister, stepsister? How are you related? I know he
We
had
are the same father.
Right.
He didn't live in the streets. He lived in his own home, bothering nobody. But I told him to leave them hoes alone, because they ain't have to do him like that. He wasn't that type of person. He worked every day. He had his own stuff, but he was messing with them working girls. One of them might have set him up with something. I don't know.
Do you know of any of the ladies of the night that he was associating with?
It's two twin girls. All of them comes over there, and he lets them worship and stuff and have problems out of them. I told him, I can't fight them people.
Did you hear anything about him owing anybody any money or anything like that?
I heard it was about 40, but I really don't know because I don't know.
Again, we learned that Derek hung out with possible prostitutes and had them over his apartment at times. Derek's sister believed that he may owe people or multiple people money, and that might have led up to his death.
Detectives search their databases and come up with a name for a local sex worker who also happens to be one of the twins, Jane.
Derek's sister said that Jane could possibly be involved in some kind of setup role. So patrol officers were able to locate Jane, and they brought her down to the station for an interview.
He's Donnie, and I'm Hanlon.
At a minimum, we're trying to establish, was she there? Did she see what happened? Will she admit that she was there?
We just gonna talk to you because we hope that maybe you know something. Okay. Derek Alexander.
Okay.
He was a friend of yours?
Yes.
How long have you known him?
About a year and some.
You guys are friends?
It was friends. I come up there and we drink beer and sit and talk and I go.
You know what happened to him, right?
Yeah. I was actually leaving the store. I didn't hear about that. I didn't see nothing. But the next nurse that came back over there, when I came over, they said it was Derek. That was in the apartment. And I asked why and who did it. Didn't nobody say nothing.
All right, so you were at the store.
Uh-huh.
And you remember seeing Derek or no?
Yeah, I seen him from the store. I was talking to my other friend. He was playing the lottery.
Who was that? Who's that other friend that was playing lottery? Do you remember?
They called him E. That's why I made him to my sister.
They call him E?
E?
Yeah. You said E, like in the letter E?
No, you're not going to tell these people my name on the please.
Sure.
I don't, please, I want to get killed. I don't want that.
Okay, I'm not saying what we're doing.
Okay.
Thankfully, when we talked to Jane, she did put herself at the scene, which gave us a great start. Because once you put yourself at the scene, then that changes things a little bit. Because now we know you were there. Were you involved, or are you purely a witness?
He mentioned that he had a problem with anyone?
No.
A fight, harsh words.
A fight, no?
No, I'm just. We're just trying to grasp some straw of why people don't have a problem with. I mean, he seemed to be a likable enough guy.
Yeah.
Like drinking spot, crack, whatever. Everybody does that. But I mean, no one had come up and said like, oh, he did this or he ripped somebody off.
No. This is the story. You can't believe everything you hear. No, you can't. No. That he owes some people some money for crack on credit, all kinds of things, you know.
What else have you heard?
That's about it.
Crack on credit, Rosenberg.
That's it.
There's no talk about maybe him owing somebody money or anything.
He owed a lot of people money right here. He owed crack deals.
So why was that? Because he
get crack.
On credit?
Yeah, he credited out the crack.
Now, are there some bad dudes that hang out in the parking lot that sell crack?
They be everywhere.
You were in the store and you heard shots. And then you walked out.
I walked out and I didn't see anything. I went on across the street to the back. So, okay.
But you wouldn't be shocked if Derek owed somebody some money for
no, it's not a shock.
Not
a shock. No.
The only thing Jane did tell us was she heard on the streets that Derek was getting drugs on credit and that he had owed money for the drugs that he was buying.
So at this point in the investigation, I didn't really believe Jane could be the shooter. I just didn't really believe that she could shoot and kill someone. But Jane might have something to do with setting Derek up and leading to his death.
I think I didn't walk the car.
We're going to give you a card.
Yeah.
Do you want to walk out of here? You want the officer to give you a ride back or what?
Well,
you don't want to be seen with the police.
I don't want to be seen because I don't want to be
Yeah, we ended up ruling Jane out as having any involvement in the murder, so we released her. Even if she did know who the shooter was, she was not going to tell us. I think she was worried about her own safety, being out on the streets.
You know, like all of us and like everybody else, we all have our flaws. He battled with drugs and drinking, but worked to overcome those trials and tribulations so that he could be a better brother, father, grandfather. All of that, you know, played a role in who he was. And, you know, if you really knew him, you knew his battles, you knew his struggles, but you knew his, you know, all of the love that he had inside as well. You knew that he ultimately was a good person, you know. I know that he touched a lot of people.
Back at the station, detectives receive evidence that could crack the case wide open. The security cameras from the convenience store.
It was incredibly helpful because we had 4 or 5 different angles inside and outside the store. So we have to watch it and break it down, and we could see the victim come into the store because of what he was wearing. He clearly stood out. And shortly afterward, you see 2 black males walk in the store after him. The 2 suspects stood out because they so clearly were watching Derek and what he was doing. On the video, the first suspect watches the victim, Derek, walk out of the store, and he is keenly interested in which way he is walking. The first suspect walked out of that store with a purpose, and he walked directly in the same direction as Derek, like he had something to do. The second suspect, but he's keenly watching, he hustles out of the store in the same direction now as Derek and the first suspect. So in less than a minute after the first suspect walks out of the store, the shots are being fired in the street. Detective Donnie and I probably watched this footage hundreds of times. And in that one split second, you could see The suspect had red-colored shoes on. When you watch this video, these two men are clearly up to no good. We certainly believe that both of these men probably had a role in the death of the victim, and that one of them was absolutely our shooter. And we need to get them identified as fast as we can.
We were able to create photos from that video and distribute them out to our officers to see if anybody could ID these two individuals. When we watched the video, you can see that Derek was being dropped off by someone in a black car. He pulled it to the front of the building in the parking lot, and Derek hesitates to get out. He has the passenger side door open, but he's not getting out right away. So it was important for us to find out who that person was who dropped him off.
Fortunately, the next day, we learned that it was his cousin, Wayne, because he contacted us, and we were able to have him come into the station for an interview. So we were hoping to learn anything that might lead us to a suspect.
First of all, sorry about your loss for meeting like this, but I'm Detective Donovan. I'm one of the detectives handling this case. Detective Hanlon's also handling it. So you were the guy who dropped him off the night at the Bajo? Where was he working at?
Uniform cleaning place out of Barbara. I'm not sure.
Because he had a vest on.
He cleans uniforms. I guess I don't know how they do it out there.
Okay, can you just go into that and tell me where you picked him up from?
Strange, because I get medicine from Highland Square Pharmacy. And I got my medicine, and he was in there. Anyway, he asked me for a ride. I gave him a ride home. On the way home, he said, this guy this morning told me he was going to shoot me. And I said, what? He said, this guy, when I left my apartment this morning to go to work at 5:30, he told me he was going to shoot me. Anyway, he said, drop me off at the Bajo. Pulled in the Bajo, and the guy was standing there. He was like, that's the guy right there that said he was going to do it. And my cousin, he asked me for some change or $1. He asked me for $1, and I just, before I could even say it, he had got out, and, pulled out the parking lot. And then from that point, I don't know what happened, but I guess he got shot right after that.
Derek's cousin tells us that when he pulls in the parking lot, Derek says, this man's threatened to shoot me, and he's actually standing in the parking lot. And he points to a man outside the store and says, that's the guy that I've had a problem with.
Hey, these two looking like the one?
This guy here could be him. I think it is, for sure. If he was one.
Out of 100%, what would you say?
About 100%. He's 99.
Okay. We took the screenshots from the video, and he picked out the one with the gray headband with 100% positivity that that's the guy who Derek said was the male who threatened him that morning outside of his apartment. Did you know that Derek using any drugs, and was he in?
Yeah, he did his drugs, but he worked for him. He worked every day. He went to work no matter what.
What was his drug of choice?
Crack.
So at this point, I believe that the motive was a drug debt, that Derek had owed someone money for drugs. Wayne was definitely very believable. He was very forthcoming with the information, and you could tell that he felt sorry for leaving Derek there, not knowing what was going to happen to him shortly after. So at this point in our investigation, we don't know if the guy wearing the red sole shoes were the shooter or the guy wearing the gray headband was the shooter. All we knew is that they both followed Derek outside the store. The mystery of who killed Derek was deepening.
Detectives now have 2 potential suspects captured on surveillance video when they get a surprising lead on the man with the red-soled shoes from inside the detective bureau.
So when we distributed those photos out with the man wearing the red-soled shoes, another detective identified him as being one of the people he interviewed, and he said, I've talked to that man, and his name was Dexter Moore. So when we looked up Dexter Moore, we found that he had a probation violation warrant out for his arrest. So we sent officers out to pick him up. So talking with Dexter, I was hoping to learn who the shooter was.
He looked at the tape a bunch of times. All right, Dexter? You can be a witness or a suspect. Now, did you kill anybody?
No, hell no.
Did you shoot the dude?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. That's
You remember what kind of shoes you were wearing that day?
I might have to think I had some Nikes.
You know what color the soles are?
On my shoes?
Yes, sir.
Red, because I had some gray shoes. The bottom of the shoes was red. They was gray, and the back of them was black with a red Nike sign. The bottom of the shoe red.
So during the interview, he told us that he did own a pair of red-soled shoes, which we found compelling given the video footage. We didn't show any of the photos or the surveillance footage because we don't want them to know what we know. We like to keep you guessing a little bit.
I say now you look. When I was outside the store material, I was trying to my feet go in. I go in because I know the girl is working and I know her. I know the other dude. He been knowing me since I was young.
Dexter was evasive on all the answers that he wanted to give. He didn't want to tell us what role he played throughout that incident outside the Bajo and inside. He didn't want to implicate himself as far as being complicit in what had happened to Derek.
As detectives press Dexter, he tells them the guy he was with wearing the gray headband goes by the street name Rolly.
How well you know Rolly? How well you know?
I know him from being around there. I just seen him around on Oakdale and shit.
Where's he been staying?
Nah, I don't know where he's staying.
You know the real name?
No, I know it by road.
What happened outside the Bajo?
Victim come in. I go in the store. I'm asking Rolly, let me buy me some shit. Get some do people. I don't know nothing about it. Honestly, I don't know nothing about him. And do his beef or whatever. All right, we right there and everything. I go out, do leave out. I'm just right there. I'm chilling. I hear gunshots. Like, what the dude on the ground? Rolly going after he walk off. I'm standing out here in the mall. I'm posted up. Every gunshot, bang. I get out the way. I don't know what's coming my way. I get out the way. I go up fast. Dude, he ain't on the ground.
Did Raleigh say that he knew him?
Yeah, I guess he did know him. They argued a little bit. I guess they argued. Oh, Rolly, you know what I'm saying? $2 or whatever. But other than that, I left. I pulled. They get to arguing. I'm on parole.
Okay. You heard them arguing, and Raleigh said somebody owed him some money. Is there anything else that you remember hearing? Have you ever seen Raleigh with a gun?
No. He's weird. I don't know who did him. Hell no.
Guns for you.
Yeah, I talked to him before. I told you I'm not going to talk to him before. I wasn't a part of this. I'm not about to kill nobody.
So like many suspects, he tried to minimize his involvement and maximize everyone else's involvement. Ultimately, he knows what he did. He knows he was there, but he just doesn't want to say it.
You can clearly see he was working in concert with Rolly because they talked to each other inside the store. He's actually standing by the door at one point. He then talks to Rolly again as the victim leaves. He then follows him outside the store, and he's got the red sole shoes on.
Viewing the video footage sealed the fact that we at least knew that he was at the scene at the time of the murder.
But detectives still need to identify Rolly.
At the original scene, we had this cell phone that was dropped in the street in close proximity to where the body was. Ultimately, we collected that phone and I turned it over to our computer forensic unit. They were able to extract the data, and it all pointed to Jerry Alford.
So we look up the name Jerry Alford in our law enforcement database, and we were able to compare his picture from his photo to the video, and it was a match. We now have a name to the face. This is the guy who we only knew as Rolly, and we need to locate him.
Detectives released Jerry Alford's name to the media as a suspect.
One of the things we did was put wanted man on the local media and the news. And Jerry ultimately turns himself into the police station because he saw that he had a warrant for his arrest. In my mind, he was playing a little offense-defense. He knew what he had done, but he wanted to get ahead of it.
Derek, wake up, my man. How you doing? Detective Johnny, this is Detective Hammond. I'm gonna read you this first, so I'm gonna go over this first, and then we'll get into what we're gonna talk about, all right? Okay, you understand? You with me? Happened at the Bajo the night of the 16th. November 16th. Come on, Jerry. Jerry, we have you on video.
I was there, but I ain't do nothing. They said I wasn't at the store.
Ultimately, our goal is to always try to get a 100% confession, but you start with putting yourself there and build on it.
I came there when the police was outside.
You with?
I was by myself, and there was a bunch of people outside. I was by myself. I wasn't with nobody.
But you know this ain't gonna help you. We got multiple people telling us that Rolly did it. Rolly did it. Rolly did it. So this is your time to help yourself by telling us what happened.
I don't know what happened.
Rolly, you know what happened. Come on.
I don't know what happened.
The turtle defense is not going to work good for you, Jerry.
Yeah.
We got you on video. Turtle defense.
We got you on video, man.
I didn't never say I wasn't at that store.
Jerry continued to deny having any involvement in this case. He didn't want to answer all of our questions truthfully.
We have video, we have eyewitnesses, we have physical evidence.
Take me to the counter, man. Give me a lawyer.
Nothing else to say.
And then he requests an attorney. But we knew we had to figure out who was responsible for Eric's murder. At this point, we don't know who the shooter is. It could be Dexter Moore or Jerry Alford.
You want to talk? That's fine. And that's that ain't nothing to talk about. I didn't do it. I was back and forth that day from that store, and I was looking for my phone because I had lost it. Like, don't kill nobody, bro.
You lost your phone, huh? That's what you're looking for. Where'd you lose your phone at?
Somewhere on Oakdale. Going to the store.
We'll get you a lawyer, we'll send you to county, and it'll play itself out in court.
Jerry admitted that he was there, but he never really wanted to come off his involvement. He blamed some of it on Dexter, some of it he just said he didn't know. It was what it was, you know. He put himself there and that was about it, and he didn't really want to talk, which is fine. You have that right. We'll send you off to county and we'll see you in court.
Detectives have 2 suspects in custody, but still don't know who killed Derek Alexander. It's then they receive a surprise visit from a jailhouse inmate named Tyrone, who claims to have information about the murder.
Tyrone was already incarcerated on unrelated charges. He said he'd like to speak with the detective about Derek's case because he had information about it. And that's what he told me, was what he had seen outside of Derek's apartment 2 days prior to the murder.
Tyrone! Hey, what's up?
Did you guys invite?
Detective Tony, man, no. They had to call me from home, I'm sorry.
Listen, this guy's supposed to got shot.
I'm here to listen, man. I came in on. Okay. So, if you got something, yeah, that'd be great.
Since I've been in the county jail, my father told me yesterday, he said, man, you know a dude named Derek Alexander? I'm like, no. He's like, man, stay on home. I said, I know a dude named Dexter. He said, yeah, man, he just got shot. And I'm telling him about the situation. I said, man, I was a kind of friend of mine. We wasn't really close, but I've been knowing him for 20 years. You know, the dude, man, worse. So I said, man, so I'm telling him about the situation. I said, man, dude told me he's going to shoot me 4 times with the 38. He's talking to him. He said, man, about to shoot this dude. I really about to shoot because I didn't believe.
Tyrone says he saw Rolly with a 38 revolver outside of Derek's apartment 2 days before the murder. Rolly told him, I'm here to shoot Derek, which was significant in that bullets that were recovered from the victim's body were 38 caliber bullets. That information was never released to the public. So we also had Wayne identifying Jerry Alford, nicknamed Rolly, as the guy he saw outside the store that day that Derek pointed out. And we also had Tyrone, during his interview, told us that Rolly said he was going to kill Derek with a 38 revolver, the same type of handgun used in Derek's murder. We knew at that point we had our guy, and we believe it Jerry Alford. He was our shooter.
Detectives then received the results of the DNA from the spit found at the crime scene, confirming that Jerry was there.
The spit really struck me as very personal or angry, like, I spit on your grave. And that DNA puts us over the hump. You can't say you weren't there because you attempted to spit on this man and you've just shot multiple times. He lay dying in the street. Given everything we had, we knew that Jerry was our shooter.
So we were able to piece together what happened and determine that Derek owed Jerry Alford some money and that he had threatened Derek that if he didn't get paid, he was going to kill him. And at that time that he goes to the Bajo convenience store, they are waiting on him. And as soon as he gets out the car, they see him, Jerry Alford and Dexter Moore follow him into the store. They wait for him to leave. They follow him outside the store. Jerry confronts Derek about whatever money that was owed, and Derek was going to give it to him. Jerry shot Derek 4 times. He spit near his body, and then after that, he took off running down the street and lost his phone. And Dexter both ran from the scene at that point, and unfortunately, Derek died from that. He died from his injuries after he was shot over a small amount of money.
After a 3-day jury trial, Jerry Alford is found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 21 years. Co-defendant Dexter Moore is found guilty and sentenced to 6 years in prison for complicity to commit felonious assault and obstructing justice.
Jerry Alford and Dexter Moore are exactly where they belong for what they did.
Miss my dad every day, you know. It's not being able to call him and speak to him and, you know, shoot the breeze with him, you know, just talk about different relationships and like got a baby on the way that he used to ask me, you know, when you gonna give me a grandbaby? When you gonna give me a grandchild? You know, it's happening now and just not being able to, you know that he's gonna see him and be with him. You know, it's nothing like a hug from your dad. Hug from your mom is, You know, it's like I hug my mom. You know, but that last hug I got from my dad, I'm not gonna be able to get that no more. Just gotta be strong. Just keep your spirit alive. Definitely miss you though. Definitely miss it.